Greetings, my wonderful students. Welcome to our study of the Senate. Now, the Senate at work. Where we talked before about the House of Representatives having a very formal atmosphere with a complex set of rules that regards, make sure that people only have 5 minutes to speak because there's 435 of them. There's a more informal atmosphere in the Senate. The rules are more flexible than they are in the House. Usually only a few senators attend sessions. The party leaders or their assistants stay in the Senate chamber to keep the work moving smoothly. The Senate usually allows unlimited debate on proposed legislation, and that has had a major effect on the way the Senate works, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, before we go too much farther, there are still committees in the Senate, just like there are in the House of Representatives. As a matter of fact, pretty much all the committees in the House have their counterparts in the Senate, and vice versa, so that they can each work on the different bills. Now, Senate leaders. There is no speaker in the Senate. That's a House thing. The Vice President of the United States is technically President of the Senate, but he can't vote except to break a tie. And obviously there could always be a tie because there's 2 senators for every single state. Party leaders do not have as much control over their senators as they do their members in the House of Representatives. Now, the Vice President. The Vice President of the United States is also the President of the Senate. He may recognize senators in a debate and put questions to a vote, but he cannot participate in the debates and may only vote to break a tie. When the Vice President is not actually present in the Senate, which is most of the time, really, then the President pro tempore is in charge. And that is basically the temporary president, or president of the time. And that's usually the most senior member of the majority party. Now, there are party officials, not Senate officials. Majority floor leader, minority floor leader. The majority leader is the leader of the majority party, and they plan the Senate's work schedule in consultation with the minority leader. So the 2 parties work more closely together in the Senate. The minority leader, of course, develops criticisms of the majority party's bills. And both leaders, majority and minority, work to make sure that their particular party members are present for key votes, and they try to be working together as a team. The Republicans try to work together as a team. The Democrats try to work together as a team. And they both have assistants and whips to help them in their tasks, just like we had mentioned before in the House of Representatives. How the bills are scheduled. The Senate does not have a rules committee that schedules bills. Instead, the Senate leaders control the flow of bills to the floor and the committees by consulting amongst themselves and with other senators. So it's a much more relaxed atmosphere, less of a process. This is the way it's got to be done. And bills are brought to the floor for debate and voting by unanimous consent, meaning all of the senators present go, yes, it's time to talk about this and to vote on this. Unanimous. The filibuster. This goes back to the fact that there's unlimited debate. Now, the Senate usually allows for unlimited debate on a bill. So one way to defeat a bill is for a senator to continue speaking until the majority party abandons the bill or changes its most controversial parts. This process of talking a bill to death, basically, is called the filibuster. And after the first 3 hours of debate, a senator may talk about anything he or she wishes. You could even read literally numbers from the phone book or words out of the dictionary if you want after the first 3 hours. The longest filibusters in history are over 24 hours, some over 30 hours. Now, multiple senators may continue a filibuster for weeks. A filibuster may be stopped by a vote of 60 senators for cloture, which allows only 1 hour per senator for debate. But because you need 60 senators to vote for that out of 100, that's really difficult to obtain. If you take a look at the historic breakup between the multiple parties, most of the time you do not have 60 senators available to vote for cloture, which means that a filibuster doesn't end. So a cloture vote is very difficult to obtain. There is now a 2-track system in the Senate that allows other work to be done while a filibuster is still going on, and this has weakened the power of the filibuster. Also, in recent years, under Harry Reid at first and then later Mitch McConnell second, they began to severely limit what bills and what things could be filibustered, such as judge nominations, and that's weakened the power of the filibuster as well. As in the House, Republicans sit on the right and Democrats sit on the left, and the majority party controls the flow of legislative work. And that is our study of the Senate.